Okay, so while the battery is off the car and charging, we're going to give that a good 36 hours just to give it another chance, although I do think it's beyond repair. But I think also maybe the alternator might be an issue, because when it had it on earlier, we were doing a check of the charging system. It was only saying about 11.9 volts when it was about 2,000 revs. So the battery might be knackered because the alternator's knackered. But anyway, for the moment it's out and charging. So because it's out of the way, it's going to give me the opportunity to clean some of the stuff in here. There's definitely not supposed to be things growing under the scuttle cover. So we'll whip the windshield wipers off, whip the scuttle cover off. While we're here, we'll have a little look at the air filter, give that a tidy up, maybe check the spark plug, see what sort of condition they're in. And then tomorrow, battery back on, backed out, and then we'll have a look underneath and see what we can see. Well, a quick guided tour of what's underneath the scuttle cover. Load of shit. Load of shit. Load of shit. And load of shit and some stuff that looks like it might even be growing. So, yeah, time to get rid of all this. Right, so we are trying the easy stuff first, taking out the camshaft and the exhaust cam solenoid, because this sticking or not working can be one of the reasons for it throwing up that anti-pollution fault code thing not working. But it doesn't look in bad condition. I've just given it a little wipe down, it doesn't really look bad. There is oil, quite a lot of oil, in the switch, along with oil everywhere else. So I wonder, either I'm not going to be lucky and it isn't a bad connection to this, it's not activating, or it's something else. It's the cams are out of time, or any number of other reasons. But we'll give this a clean, stick it back in and see what happens. Try the easy stuff first. Right, we've given everything a little bit of a soak in some degreaser, but I don't think that's anywhere near man enough to really attack this properly. So I think that's going to be a lost cause. And also, while we're waiting for the battery, we'll have a little look at other odds and ends and see if we can have a clue at whether or not this has been looked after recently. Let's have a look and see what sort of state this thing's in. Well, that's a brand new air filter. That is a brand new air filter, not a speck of dust in it. And the airbox looks pretty good, no water in there, no oil. Well, okay, so there's no evidence of it, but it has absolutely had a service in the very recent past, certainly in terms of mileage, if not in time. The only dust or the only muck that's on it is me just now, where I just picked up with my dirty fingers. That is absolutely brand spanking new. So that will go straight back in. Right, well, the good news was short-lived. Had a little look at the coils. Every single one is absolutely drenched in oil. I can't even see the top of the spark plug. So the rocker cover gasket is well and truly finished. Probably has been for a while. How this ran at all and ran smoothly with no misfires is beyond me, because you can't see the spark plug at all. That is absolutely drenched. So the rocker cover will have to come off, and new gasket and seals as a minimum. Yeah. There's one. There's two. Again, can't even see the spark plug. Three. And four. It's in all of them. So that is a massive failure of the rocker cover gasket, if there's even one there at all. I wonder if maybe there was a small leak and somebody took the old gasket out and replaced the outer gasket, or maybe not even replace that, maybe just use a load of this, whatever this sealant stuff is. Didn't do anything about the inside. Or maybe this is a sign of something even worse. But the car runs too nicely for there to be a load of oil in the cylinders at the moment anyway. Got to be careful how I get this oil out. Right, okay, let's see what we can do with this. I'm just dipping a bit of tissue down into the spark plug well, and let's look at that. It's absolutely drenched. They are soaking down there. Ah, there's the top of the spark plug. There is one in there. Okay. That's unbelievable. That's insane how that car was running. So you're not going to run now, putting the coils back on top of those plugs. Going to need a lot more cleaning yet before I even attempt to put these coils back in and fire it up. Well, the good news is the oil that is in the spark plug wells actually looks like it's been changed relatively recently. Bad news is there is oil in the spark plug wells. I'm starting to see the spark plugs now. I'm getting most of it out. So I do have to fire this up. I'm definitely not going to take the spark plugs out because I don't want whatever oil I can't get out dripping down into the cylinders. So I'm definitely not taking those plugs out. I will give the coils a clean, put them back in, because I need to start the car. To see if I can find out where the leak is coming, the oil leak is coming from, although I suspect now it is going to be the rocker cover gasket, but I need to make sure that that's the only leak. And B, I need to get the coolant system up to temperature, because there is definitely a leak coming from the coolant system as well, and that is somewhere around the back of the engine, and that potentially is bad news, because off the top of my head I can't think of anything pipework wise that goes around to the back of the engine, other than the heater matrix. So if it's a pipe going to the heater matrix, I can get to it nice and easy. That's not the end of the world at all. If it is something more serious and it's not coming from a pipe, it's coming from the head gasket around the back of the engine, then that's a problem. The water pump is down there somewhere. That's the pulley side of the engine. I don't think there's anything water related around there other than the thermostat, and that's down in there. Thermostat housing is around there, but the leak is definitely coming from somewhere around this side, but I can't see from the top. But at the moment, that's the least of the problems. It's getting this oil out of the spark plug wells is the main concern at the moment, to try and get the car fired up again so I can get it out, so I can get the car that I'm actually using in to service that. Right, everything's had a good clean. Look, spark plugs, hooray, they were in there after all. So that is how much tissue I used to get all of the oil out of those spark plug wells. But you can see them now. I've given the ends as good a clean as I can. I will whack the coils back in. I'll give the coils a good wipe down. Spray some electrical contact cleaner in the ends, and whack the coils back in. Clean up the connections. Because like I say, tomorrow I do need to run this to get it out of the way so that I can service my car that I'm actually driving. So, rocker cover gasket kit as a minimum if I'm going to continue with this. Well, how that came out of that spark plug well without breaking is a miracle, because I've just gone to give it a little wipe to put it back in and it's completely come apart. So that coil is, snapped. The other two that I'm not put back in yet are okay. So, well, it looks like I'll be pushing the car out tomorrow. I don't really want to run it on 3 cylinders. I'm just chucking up enough fault codes already. So, because everything's on hold a little bit due to Operation Smashed Up rocker cover gasket and broken coil pack, we're going to do a little bit of investigation work, really, just double checking of things. So I'm going to have a little look in the fuse box, and some good news to counteract the bad news with the coil and the oil and the rocker cover gasket is that these main harnesses all look really good. There's not a speck of rust or dust or anything, so there's obviously no moisture has got into any of these. These are all in excellent condition. So I'm going to go through every fuse very methodically, pull everyone out, have a little look, double check and make sure that these are all okay. I'm not going to film any of this because it's like watching paint dry, but I'm going to just go through everything underneath here, make sure it's all good. It all looks really good on first inspection, so I'm not expecting anything to be wrong, but it wouldn't hurt to check. So that's a little job for this afternoon. Right, so all of these fuses are okay. There's no sign of any dampness or anything underneath. All of those wires look nice. All of the big high ampage fuses are good. No sign of any of them getting warm, no moisture or condensation or anything like that. So the main electrical gubbins under the bonnet, despite the fact that the rest of the engine bay is rotten, this is excellent. So a little bit of good news. Right, so we're underneath the mystery Peugeot for the first time. First impressions are, I keep banging my head on the exhaust. That's the result of the water leak. I don't think it has been in any kind of accident. None of this chassis wise looks newer than any of the rest of it. It all looks straight as far as I can see up there. No leaks in the gearbox, no leaks from this side of the drive shaft anyway. CV joint. Stick inspection looks okay. No oil leak from the slump compressor, looks alright. Air conditioning pipes got no corrosion on them. Oil there, but can't tell where that's coming from just yet. It's coming from somewhere else, but again, that rocker cover gasket is forcing oil everywhere. That side, that's wet, but that could be water. A leak is coming from up there somewhere. There is a pipe going into the block. I wonder if that's it. Oh, I'm going to get to that. What a pain. It may be easy to get to through the wheel arch, or not. I'm going to have to connect the water up. So the tyre, blow air through it. Oh, there's a drip there. So as of yet, I'm not quite sure where the water's coming from. Probably somewhere horribly inaccessible. But I don't think it's been in an accident. The floor pan is really straight, and again, nothing looks newer than anything else. The bracing bars are there. That bracket's broken, but that's not the end of the world. So the front end and the floor pan look straight, if filthy covered in oil, but straight. I can't see anything glaring mechanically. I know there's an oil leak, at least one with the rocker cover. Where's that coming from? So let's crack on with trying to find this leak. Well, on the offside, or near side, sorry, passenger side, it's had a new track rod end by the looks of it, and a new drop link tie rods there. So at some point this was getting serviced and properly looked after. That one's, well, it's fine, but it's not new. But there are definitely signs that this has been looked after up until recently. So it's just trying to figure out how to get that leak, and I do think I know where it is. I think it is coming out of there. Now that pipe goes down there, goes back around somewhere. I can't see where to, and I've no idea how to get to it, what sort of seal that is, or whether there's a gasket or an O-ring that goes on it if he just pushes or pulls, if there's supposed to be a clip on there that's not there. I really don't know. I can't really reach it, and you can see a little drip of water there. Although there is water above it, I suspect that's squirted out when I pressurise the system from the tyre. There you go, see, there's a drip. I think that's the leak, but I can't get to it and I don't know how to fix it yet. Okay, so this leak that I think is coming from that pipe there, if you can see it, there, isn't leaking at the moment because the water was sitting there all day, but the minute you put it under pressure it leaks. So to pressurise the system I'm just using a brake bleed kit. So what would have brake fluid in it is just empty. What on the expansion tank there instead of the brake fluid. Let quite a lot of air out of the tyre. I don't want to over pressurise the system. Whack that in. Give that a nice turn. It is leaking a bit, but I can hear it already. And now that the system's pressurised, there you go. It is leaking. No, I don't think there's anything else there that it can be other than that pipe. I think that must be it. I think that must be it. Right, well, it won't win any prizes for electrical engineering, but running a cable from these two terminals down into the solenoid switch does result in some little ticking up and down of the solenoid in here. Doesn't sound particularly strong, so maybe it does need a good clean out. Maybe it needs replacing, but it works anyway. There is power going to it, so I'll give it a good clean out, and we'll stick it back in, clear the fault code and see what happens. But maybe this does need replacing, but it works. That's the important thing. I know that it works. And that battery has sat for a week and was reading 12.8 volts when I put a multimeter across it. So out of the car, it is holding charge for at least a week. So maybe that battery isn't quite as knackered as I thought. Could be more to do with the alternator than anything else. So we'll give the alternator a good clean when we get over to that part of the car. It's worth a try, worth a can of brake cleaner squirted into it and a good brush of the connections just to see if what happens. Worst comes to worst, new alternator's not the end of the world, although it's more expensive than I wanted. But this works anyway. Right, ECU is out. We're just going to have a little look at the harnesses for the ECU, see if we can see anything obviously wrong, any moisture or anything like that, which there was, and they're a little bit dusty, but they really don't look bad at all. And the ECU itself, going in there, there's not really any immediate cause for concern as far as I can see, not even dusty particularly. There's certainly no corrosion or rust or anything like that, so fingers crossed the ECU is in reasonable working order.